Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dugout Daily. I'm Charlie, and I'm joined by Bernard. How are you, mate?
I'm fine, Charlie. Glad to be back and glad to be on, mate.
Yeah. We'll get straight to it then. On Sunday, it was Newcastle 0, Man City 4, with the goals being scored by Ruben Diaz, Joao Cancelo, Riyad Mahrez, and Raheem Sterling. What was your thoughts on the game, Bernard?
Yeah, I was quite impressed with Newcastle. Actually, I thought Eddie Howe. You can see the Eddie Howe touch to them. Obviously, defensively they're a nightmare. Of course they are, but we know that anyway. But yeah, I was quite impressed with them. I think I think we had to work a little bit harder. I was happy with our performance. It could have been, it could have been a goal or two for them as well. But no, I think we did what we had to do. I don't think we really got out of second or third gear again, but. It was comfortable in the end. I was quite happy with that because I can see. We'll probably talk about Newcastle later, but I can see little glimpses of a glimmer of hope there. But obviously they'll have to start turning things around very quickly.
Yeah. We'll look at the starting 11 then. It was a 4-3-3 with Ederson in goal, a back four of Cancelo, Diaz, Laporte, and Zinchenko. I don't know why it says Tizzy in there, but it was Zinchenko at left back with De Bruyne, Rodri, and Bernardo Silva in midfield. Mahrez on the right, Sterling on the left, with Jesus up top. What was your thoughts on the team, Bernard?
Again, I wasn't overly convinced of the striking force. I mean, our front threes have been doing okay. I mean, we have, haven't we? I mean, obviously, apart from the 1-0 at Wolves, but obviously the Leeds 7-0, etc. But again, it wasn't a front three that was filling with total confidence after even after the last game. But obviously, it was a surprise. We did find out, obviously, afterwards. Certainly, there was no Foden. We did find out, of course, the reasons for that after the event. But obviously, Grealish, we weren't sure whether he'd be in or not anyway, to be honest with you. But given the fact of Pep, obviously, and a problem with Walker, of course, that we found out again, a reason behind that as well. Again, he's more or less having to pick his sort of best team he can with what he's got available, because certain players made themselves not available or weren't available for other reasons. So it was okay, but again, I wasn't overly excited by that strike force, to be honest with you. Again, but obviously, we'll see as we go through this how we did. But there you go.
Yeah. So you mentioned there some of the news. Kyle Walker didn't feel good according to Pep, so that's why he didn't play. News on John Stones. While John Stones dropped to the bench for the Newcastle game, it was understood he did not attend the night out with Jack Grealish and Phil Foden. The only reason behind the defender being dropped was because Joao Cancelo had served his suspension. And on Grealish and Foden, they'd gone out together after the 7-0 win against Leeds on Tuesday night, but Man City were unhappy with the condition in which they reported the next day for a recovery session. Pep Guardiola was left distinctively unimpressed with the news when the news was relayed to him, and the Man City manager left Grealish and Foden in no doubt that he will not tolerate a repeat. What was your thoughts when you heard that about Grealish and Foden, Bernard?
Yeah, just before I mentioned Grealish and Foden, I found there's a little bit more on Walker. We found out, so I was told on another pod a couple of nights ago, that he lost a very close friend recently, and I think it's affected him. I think this is the problem. This is why Pep wasn't sort of committing himself as to whether it was an injury or a psychological problem. So I think it's had a big effect on him. I think that's hopefully he'll be okay, and obviously, but I think reading between the lines, that's what's happened with Walker. It's a mental thing, obviously, because he's lost a very close friend, passed away recently. So that's Walker. But obviously, as far as those other two guys are concerned, it's good on Pep, good on the team. I mean, obviously, Foden's got a little bit of previous. Grealish has definitely got previous, and obviously certain other players have. Mr. Walker's not been perfect, has he? But I think that's why that was clarified as well, perhaps to make sure we knew the reason for Walker. But yeah, they're not silly lads. They're young lads, mate. They're the young lads. They've got to do things, aren't they? I'm sure they didn't get totally plastered or anything like that. I'm sure they weren't drinking and doing stupid things, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we expect a bit more, and that'll sort of hopefully teach them that lesson. And certainly Grealish, who's certainly not got a lot of credit in the bank yet. Certainly Phil Foden has, but Grealish hasn't. So he has to behave a little bit more, perhaps, than you would expect. But no, all fairness to Pep and the team, I'm sure they won't be out for too long. It'll be back. But as long as they learn from it, mate, because obviously they don't always learn from it, do they? But as long as they take it on board, there are rules. Unfortunately, even though the young men, there are rules to follow, and it's not a great time for young people or any people at the moment with the COVID situation. But no, they do have to take that into account. I mean, this sort of thing. So yeah, well done to Pep and the sort of discipline. Perhaps we should have shown a little bit more of that a few months previous with some other guy we won't talk about. But that's another story, isn't it?
Yeah. We'll look at the Newcastle team then. It was a 4-4-2, but not really, because Dubravka was in goal, a back four of Jacob Murphy, Lascelles, Clark, and Matt Ritchie. Almiron was on the right, Fraser was on the left, with Hayden and Joe Willock in the midfield, Joe Linton and Callum Wilson up front, but Joe Linton was drifting out to the left-hand side throughout the game as well. No Saint Maximan, no John Joe Shelby as well for Newcastle. What was your thoughts on Newcastle's team, Bernard?
Yeah, it's a 4-4-1-1, wasn't it? Obviously, Manquillo's been playing all right for Newcastle as well, and he was injured, so he couldn't play either. But it's funny, I do look at the Newcastle team on their sort of Twitter account, and then I do look at some of the replies from Newcastle fans, just for my own information as well as anything else. And obviously, the comments at a certain that back two were getting Clark and Lascelles?
Yeah.
Certainly Clark. Lascelles not quite as bad, but almost from the Newcastle fans. Obviously, they don't like Clark. And obviously, as it turned out, they probably had good reason. Within 3 or 4 minutes, he was involved in a bit of an error, wasn't he? Let's be honest about it. Yeah. But yeah, the Newcastle fans weren't happy about that back pairing. But I thought it looked all right up front. I quite like. I was glad the old Maximan wasn't playing. I'm glad he wasn't playing, to be honest with you. And obviously we'll talk about the game. But I just knew that this was the sort of game. Bring him on as soon as you can, Eddie Howe, because he could have run us ragged. Certainly for that first half. Fortunately, he didn't come on to the second half. But it could have been a Mancini. It could have been Mancini sort of substitute for me. If I was Eddie Howe, I would have brought him on after about 20 minutes. To be honest with you. Yeah. Because I thought City looked a bit shaky, and I think he would have just give that little bit more impetus to the guys they had up front to cause City problems. I think Eddie Howe missed a trick there. I don't know. I certainly thought that during the first. It's not in hindsight. I just thought, we're looking jittery here. You bring this Maximan on and cause us a few problems, but fortunately, it was a bit when he did bring him on for the second half. Obviously, we're far better. We're far better in the second half. Interesting team, but as I say, it's about 4 or 5 different to what I thought it was going to be anyway.
Yeah. We'll look at the conditions on Sunday before we go through the players. 5 degrees was quite warm for Newcastle in December. 5 miles per hour winds with less than 7% chance of rain. We'll look at the players then, starting with Ederson. Was on the pitch for 90 minutes, of course. 1 save, 1 punch, 1 successful run out of 1 save from inside the box, 38 touches, 90% accurate passes, 10 accurate long balls out of 13, 2 clearances, 1 out of 1 aerial duels with 1 as well. What was your thoughts on Ederson's performance, Bernard?
I think very early doors we saw he was going to have one of those games. Again, it's not hindsight. I just knew he was going to have one of those games because he was literally coming for crosses that he wouldn't normally come for, to be honest with you. He's not the greatest at coming out of his 6-yard box or even in his 6-yard box sometimes, even for a big lad. And I thought early doors, this is one of these games where he's got to do, he's got to be committing himself to something. Obviously, he did. But obviously, with that penalty shout, which I still don't know the rules, mate. I have no idea. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, as a keeper, how could he collect the ball because the ball had been taken away? So his momentum just took him through to the player. So I mean, what could he do? He can't stop him mid-slide, but the ball wasn't there to collect. So as a keeper, people are saying it was a blatant penalty, and I can't see how it was. I can't see because he couldn't get the ball because it had been taken by the defender. So how could he get the ball? And he just slid into the guy. It was accidental contact for me, and you don't give a penalty. Sure, you don't give penalty for accidental contact here that I know of. I just don't know, but a lot of people have said he deserves it. And Newcastle fans as well. Obviously that he fully deserved a penalty. But anyway, that was Ederson. That was sort of Ederson. That sort of summed up what I thought Ederson would do from very early doors. Fortunately, we got away with it. He made a great save late on. It was 3-0 at the time. Probably wouldn't have made a lot of difference, but a fantastic save from, I think was it Wilson, wasn't it? Late on.
Yeah.
So that sort of saved him for me. But yeah, he had one of those games, mate, where you just knew he might do something stupid. He did, but fortunately did something good as well to help compensate.
Ederson has kept more clean sheets than any other goalkeeper in the Premier League this season now, with 10 out of I think, is it 18 or 19 games?
I was just watching that Tottenham-Liverpool game. I didn't watch the game in full. I just watched brief highlights. And, the sort of comments Alisson gets when he makes a great save, compared to what Ederson gets when he makes a great save, it's unbelievable. And then Alisson does just as stupid things as Ederson does. I mean, that goal was totally his fault. Yeah. And yet he doesn't get any stick for it, and that just shows, that's just, again, how the media treat City players in general. Anyway, we don't get the respect. They don't get the respect they deserve. But as soon as something goes wrong, everyone jumps on them. So that's par for the course.
Yeah. We'll go to the back four then, but quickly. Big up Static. Big up Chelsea fan as well in the chat. Next up then is Joao Cancelo at right back. On his 100th appearance for City, 1 goal, 1 assist, 1 clearance, 2 tackles, dribble past 4 times, 5 out of 10 ground duels were won, 1 out of 1 aerial duels were won, 9 times he lost to possession, 1 foul, was fouled twice, 87 touches, 90% accurate passes, 1 key pass, 1 out of 3 accurate crosses, 2 out of 5 accurate long balls, 1 big chance created, 2 shots on target, 1 shot off target, and 1 out of 1 successful dribble attempt. What was your thoughts on Cancelo's performance, Bernard?
Yeah, I mean, I always rate him as a midfielder. Now I don't really look at him as a fullback anymore. I know he has to do some defensive work, but he's always, for everyone a tackle he makes, he'll probably want to get dribbled past him. That's just how it is. That's how it always will be. But he never gave. If you think that first one, a great ball from Zinchenko, I think he never gave up on it and got it back across. And all right, it was an error by the Newt, but obviously the fact he'd got to it in the same way Bernardo Silva against United at Old Trafford, obviously they didn't really expect him to get to that, and I don't think they expect Cancelo to do so much with it, and that's what he did. He never give up, and then to score that goal as well. All right, again, Newcastle giving far too much room, but a great midfield performance again. Didn't all come off, but absolutely excellent from Cancelo. Certainly, I think our best player.
Yeah, definitely. Some stats on Cancelo then. The first stat is he's now level with Gabriel Jesus with the most assists for Man City so far this season with 7. He's been directly involved in 10 goals across all competitions for Man City this season, 7 assists and 3 goals. And he's the first defender to reach double figures in a single season for a Pep Guardiola side since David Alaba for Bayern Munich in the 2013-14 season. He's had a great season so far, Cancelo, definitely, hasn't he?
He's got to keep it up, mate. He's just got to keep going. We've seen this before, haven't we? Not just with players like that, but he's obviously. But people have said when they look back to when he came from Italy, they were complimentary about him going forward, not so much defending, but they did say his skill was in going forward, and that's what Pep's bought him for, and that's what he does. So I don't expect a Tony Buck type defender, who just gets the tackles in. I don't expect that anymore. We don't from Pep's teams, do we? Let's be honest about it. And he fits perfectly in, and let's hope he carries on, mate. And it's not just a half season wonder.
Yeah, hopefully not. Next up, then, another defender, also his Portuguese teammate, Ruben Diaz, was on the pitch for 70 minutes. One goal, three clearances, a dribble pass once, none out of one ground duels were won, two out of two aerial duels were won. 8 times he lost the possession, 74 touches, 89% accurate passes, 2 out of 5 accurate long balls, one shot on target, one shot off target, and one big chance missed. What was your thoughts on Ruben Diaz's performance, Bernard?
Yeah, similar. I mean, obviously, when things weren't going well for City, I don't think in that first half where we did look a little bit jittery. At least he kept at it. I don't think he made any particularly big errors, and he was there to score the goal. Of course, I mean, obviously, he was doing that against. Obviously, the last couple of games, he's getting into the box with his Laporte was as well, and obviously Diaz isn't as great with the through balls as Laporte, so he's making up for it by getting into that 18-yard box, and obviously he's been told to do that by Pep, and he's a big lad, so he got his reward, didn't he? So yeah, as I said, when we were a bit jittery, he was fine. The second half, no real problems for City. So if you score a goal, that'll do for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a poor mistake as well by Kieran Clark. Like you said before, I bet he couldn't believe his luck when it fell to him in the 6-yard box in the first 5 minutes of the game.
I mean, some other players might have fluffed it because he wouldn't have expected it. Obviously, he had loads of time, which isn't usually good. Imagine that falling to Sterling. You probably would have tried to volley it in and volleyed it over the bar because he would have too much time to think about it. But just a well-placed header. I mean, the goalie did as much as the goalie could do, but as I say, the goalie and Walker were obviously goalie and Clark were certainly at fault, certainly both at fault for that. But perhaps there was a shout somewhere. Perhaps some City guy shouted and confused them. I don't know if they do that. They used to do that in the Sunday League, but I don't know if they do it in professional football now. I think they're getting a bit of trouble.
Yeah, I think so. We'll go to Ruben Diaz centre back partner then. Emerick Laporte was on the pitch for the whole game, 90 minutes. One clearance, 4 tackles, 4 out of 4 ground duels were won, none out of 2 aerial duels were won. 6 times he lost the possession, 97 touches, 93% accurate passes, 2 out of 8 accurate long balls, 1 shot off target as well. Thoughts on Laporte's performance, Bernard?
No, it's quite funny actually because obviously I have a look. I do the Manchester Evening News ratings, and they didn't have him on. They didn't have him on the ratings after the match, which is unusual. They don't usually cock up like that. And funnily enough, in the Manchester Evening News newspaper, he's actually right at the bottom. So obviously they've added him on to that as well. So he wasn't in the original print of the ratings. So, but I don't think that's a disrespect, sort of saying he didn't play very well or whatever. I think obviously, but it's just strange. It just made me laugh because he didn't have the greatest game. It's not that he didn't have a greatest game. I don't think he had that much to do, to be honest with you. He was okay, but say the first half, I don't think a lot of the City players were quite at it, even though we were winning. And he did. He was okay. It was okay for me. Nothing special. He was obviously he allowed Diaz to get up a bit further up the pitch. I think that was his job. I think he stayed back a little bit more. But so it was just ironic that the Manchester Evening News didn't even have him in the ratings, and then I say he's literally an add-on at the end of the actual printed copy as well. Never mind the website. He wasn't even on the website. They probably altered it now, but obviously for a good hour after the match, he wasn't on. And they've actually added him on manual onto the printed version as well, the newspaper. So, very funny. But yeah, he was all right. He was okay. He just covered for Diaz, I think, most of the time.
Yeah. The left back then, with Kyle Walker missing, was Alexander Zinchenko. His stats throughout the game: he got an assist, was a very nice ball as well for Riyad Mahrez for the 3rd goal. 1 clearance, 3 interceptions, 3 tackles, 3 out of 4 ground duels were won, 1 out of 1 aerial duels were won. 13 times he lost the possession, 95 touches, 87% accurate passes, 2 key passes, 1 out of 1 accurate crosses, 2 out of 5 accurate long balls, 1 big chance created, 1 shot off target, and none out of 1 successful dribble attempts. What was your thoughts on Zinchenko's performance, Bernard?
Yeah, I flip-flopped a bit on him. I thought it was awful, as in my little ticks and crosses that I do. At least 2 occasions, he let the ball go out for a throw-in when the ball went to him. He just miscontrolled it totally. I think I saw, all right, he said he'd give the ball away 13 times there. You don't notice them as much, but I do remember him a couple of times putting us into a little bit of trouble by losing the ball in key places when he was in our own third sort of thing. And yet he did the pre-assist for Cancelo. All right, well, Cancelo made it. I mean, obviously it wasn't it was a good ball, but obviously Cancelo had work to do to turn that into a cross into the goal mouth.
Yeah.
But again, so that was his pre-assist, and as you said in the second half, that one for Mahrez, a fantastic cross. So yeah, you're going to have to put up with that. As I said, I thought generally he was pretty bobbins, to be honest with you. But if he could do a pre-assist and an assist, I mean, obviously a lot of people are defending him for that. But you can't forget the mistakes he made, and against better teams and tighter games, that's where that'll matter. You can't just ignore it, the fact he did okay as well. He wasn't at it for me at all, Zinchenko, but strange thing to say, isn't it, considering he did an assist and a pre-assist? But I don't think he was. I don't think he was quite at it. I don't think his mind was on it. Certainly to let those go out. He doesn't usually do that. I think his controls is not as great as some of the guys, of course, but I don't remember him miscontrolling balls and letting them out for throw-ins that often over time. He's usually pretty consistent. So whether his mind wasn't quite at it for other reasons, I'm not too sure.
No, not sure either, to be honest. Into the midfield then, the holding midfielder made this place his own this season, Rodri. His stats look like this. Throughout the game, 68 minutes played, 98 touches, 90% accurate passes, 2 out of 4 accurate long balls, 1 shot blocked, 1 out of 1 successful dribble attempts, 5 out of 8 ground duels were won, 2 out of 7 aerial duels were won, 9 times he lost the possession, 2 fouls, was fouled once, 3 tackles, and he was dribbled past once. Thoughts on Rodri's performance?
Yeah, again, I think we commented on his aerial duels, haven't we? For a big lad, he loses too many aerial duels for a start. I'm not saying he's not up against big lads himself, and obviously that's why he loses them. But I thought he was City's worst player against Newcastle, to be honest with you. I thought he was very poor. I was glad he went off. He got himself, again, what I've said with Rodri, sometimes he doesn't know how to tactical foul. I think he got away with 1 or 2, and then he did eventually get booked quite early on, wasn't it? It was only... Yeah. 15, 20 minutes in or something like that, was it? I've got it here somewhere. Something 25 minutes. So you can't play another 65 minutes. A player like Rodri, and perhaps Werner could at his peak, but Rodri's going to struggle, and it affected him then. It affected him. So for me, he was pretty poor on the day. He was okay, don't get me wrong. He did some okay stuff, but I think the fact he was on a booking after 25 minutes, you can't really do that, and he's not learnt that yet. And I thought he was our weakest player on the day. I was quite happy when he went off. I thought you should have brought a replacement on a little bit earlier, to be honest with you. But Werner on saying after 10 minutes into the second half, something like that, or even at half time, I probably would have brought Werner on at 2-0 up. But a bit disappointed for Rodri, but hey, he's been brilliant, so we'll forgive him.
Yeah, definitely. Just quickly before we go to the next player, Zinchenko said on his Instagram, which I thought summed up the game really well, to be honest. Not the best day at the office, but still a good result. Let's go for more. I think he's spot on there, to be honest. We weren't at our best, and it was still a good result for us. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, all right, Newcastle are next to bottom. They got 10 points from God knows how many games, and they look bang on for, unless something seriously happens. And they do, the first thing they've got to do is buy 2 or 3 cracking defenders. I don't know if they can do it or who they're going to get or whatever, but that's what they need to do, because I was quite impressed. I thought going forward, they looked all right. And as I said, City in that first half, we weren't quite at it. And perhaps a better Newcastle forward line might have scored a goal or 2 as well. And as I say, they do claim they should have had a penalty, but I think the jury's out on that one. I still don't understand what the rules are, to be honest with you. But yeah, I agree with that, because we weren't at it. If you win 4-0, you're not at it. It's fair enough. But as I say, they're not great, Newcastle, at the moment. So as I say, it's no great shakes. So we'll take it. We'll take it, obviously. But yeah, it was just an I think from a neutral point of view, I thought it was an okay game as well because I thought Newcastle were better than I thought they were. I didn't think they'd be quite as good as they looked, to be honest with you. But I think it was a bit of us being pretty bad at some stages of that game as well.
Yeah. Big up Luca, big up Thomas in the chat as well. We'll go to Kevin De Bruyne next up. His stats look like this: 69 touches, 86% accurate passes, 5 key passes, 1 out of 3 accurate crosses, 3 out of 4 accurate long balls, 1 shot block, 2 out of 2 successful dribble attempts, 5 out of 5 ground duels were won, 13 times he lost the possession, he was fouled twice, and 1 tackle. Thoughts on De Bruyne's performance, Bernard?
Yeah, I do a little half-time thing. As I say, I do these when I'm not at the game. I do a little bit of paper and crosses and ticks. And my half-time thing for KDB was just a question mark because I hadn't really noticed him in that first half. He did play. I did notice him in the second half. He did play a lot better in the second half. But obviously, after that last game, we thought, oh, he's back. He's back, isn't he? But he'll need a bit more. He'll need a bit more minutes under his belt, I think. But as I say, non-existent first half for me, and then obviously second half he was like the team. He was far better in the second half, and you noticed him a bit more. But yeah, a bit to go yet. Not the old KDB, that's for sure.
Yeah, big up Retro NUFC in the chat. If you're a Newcastle fan, make sure to get your thoughts in the live chat of the game. Next up, we'll go to Bernardo Silva in the midfield next to KDB, of course. 82 touches, 94% accurate passes, 4 key passes, none out of 1 accurate long balls, 1 big chance created, 1 shot off target, 2 out of 2 successful dribble attempts, 6 out of 9 ground duels were won, 1 out of 1 aerial duels were won, 6 times he lost the possession, 2 fouls, was fouled once, 1 clearance, 1 interception, 3 tackles, and he was dribbled past once. Thoughts on Bernardo's performance?
Yeah, he was another question mark in the first half, and to be honest with you, I didn't really have much in the second half apart from work rate, and that's all we got. Well, I don't mind if a player's not fully at it, but he works hard. Same way as Jesus, we're gonna obviously get onto him in a bit, but obviously Bernardo, he worked hard, but yeah, nothing substantial. I say there's one chance created. I think it said there, that very quiet game for Bernardo. I say. It's funny, isn't it? The guys that have been carrying us for the first part of this season, most of them didn't have a great game against Newcastle. I'm just looking at the Rodris. All right, we can forget Cancelo, but Rodris and Bernardo have been carrying us, but they didn't play very well against Newcastle. You say he was there, he was a nuisance, and that's the best we can say, really.
Yeah. Next up, we'll go to the front three. On the right was Riyad Mahrez. Scored a goal, got an assist, 51 touches, 87% accurate passes, 3 key passes, 2 out of 5 accurate crosses, 1 big chance created, 1 shot on target, 1 shot off target, 1 out of 4 dribble attempts were successful, 3 out of 7 ground duels were won, none out of 1 aerial duels were won, 11 times he lost a possession, 1 foul, 1 interception, and 2 tackles. That goal as well was his 50th goal for City, Riyad Mahrez. He's got a few important ones in his time as well at the club. How do you think he played, Bernard?
Yeah, I mean, he had a cross. He had a cross at half time. He did. He must have done something wrong to get a cross. I can't remember what it was, but there you go. But hey, that made it 3-0 when he scored a cracking goal. Goalie didn't move. He had no chance. Fantastic. And the way he kept on side as well, which is, it doesn't always do that. Sometimes he looks across and gets caught. But and he was fairly sure, I think, when he got flagged that he wasn't. He was waving his finger at the line, or wasn't he? So yeah, I mean, I'll give him full credit for that goal, but apart from that, I thought it was a little bit weak again. But hey, we'll take the goal and move on with Mahrez. I'm not going to say too much more. Not his greatest game, but he wasn't alone, really.
Yeah. He also said after the game, the numbers don't matter. We just have to win game after game. Try to play good to win. That's the most important. The numbers, maybe at the end, if you make a lot of wins, it's nice to know. The most important is just to win the next game. Of course, our next game is against his former club as well, Leicester, on Boxing Day. So next up, then the next player is Raheem Sterling. Was on the left hand side this game. He scored a goal, 50 touches, 89% accurate passes, none out of one long balls were accurate, 2 shots on target, 1 shot off target, 1 out of 2 successful dribble attempts, 4 out of 9 ground duels were won, none out of 1 aerial duels were won. 11 times he lost the ball, was fouled once, 1 offside, and 2 tackles. Thoughts on Sterling's performance, Bernard?
Well, he had a couple. He had a couple of crosses, mate, until the goal. That was the only thing that saved him again. A bit like the old Sterling for me, just making wrong decisions. I think we've talked before about Sterling. I just want to see him in and around that 6-yard box to put these poachers' goals in, because I think he's all right. He does miss. He has missed from 6 yards before. I know he has, but he's fairly safe at them runs into the box to pick up them sort of balls that are sort of pulled back from the byline sort of thing. So that's where I want to see him, because his decision making was pretty poor again on, his dribbling. He didn't do it. I don't remember him doing much or getting past many players, to be honest with you. Again, a bit poor, but he scored a goal. So I mean, we won't have too much of a downer. But again, I was hoping that we'd seen a bit of improvement with Sterling, but he just wasn't quite at it again. But a great goal. We'll take the goal, and I like to see more of them little sniffer goals in the future.
Yeah. And the final starter was Gabriel Jesus. He got an assist, 1 shot on target, 1 shot off target, 1 shot blocked, 3 out of 4 successful dribble attempts, 1 big chance missed, 38 touches, 100% accurate passes, 3 key passes, 1 out of 1 accurate long balls, 1 out of 1 big chances created, 3 out of 6 ground duels were won, none out of 1 aerial duels were won. 3 times he lost to possession, 1 offside, and dribble pass once. Thoughts on Jesus' performance, Bernard?
Yeah, well, as I said before about Bernardo, didn't about even if he doesn't play well, he's a nuisance. I can usually say that about Jesus, but I don't think I could say it about him in this game particularly. 30 odd touches isn't many, is it, for 90 minutes? A City team that was sort of in their half for sort of 3/4 of the game at least. I didn't really notice him that much. I mean, the header that he had saved it was a good save. I mean, it was a good save by the keeper. Dubravka, is it? Dubravka, what's it called? And he sort of did it right. He sort of headed it back the opposite way to where the keeper was going, didn't he? I mean, the keeper was coming back left, and he sort of headed it, but obviously the keeper managed to get his right hand back out again, even though he's moving to his left. So, could he have done better? Possibly, but I thought he did okay with that header. I just thought it was a cracking save. I think all credit to the keeper. But I was struggling to notice him before that. But there again, we get to the 86th minute. All right, the game we might be losing by then in any other game, but he superbly gets to that byline and pulls it back. Newcastle a bit tired at the time, of course, but he does everything right, and a great pullback for the goal. So again, he's another one that had a couple of crosses with him, and then he gets an assist. So it's just another funny one, isn't it? There's not many came out of that game, but in crucial, not crucial moments, but he did get an assist. So that's great. But he wasn't really at it, I don't think, Jesus against Newcastle.
No. We'll go through the subs then. The first sub was Fernandinho. He was on the pitch for 22 minutes. 50 touches, 96% accurate passes, 1 out of 1 accurate long balls, 2 out of 3 ground duels were won, none out of 2 aerial duels were won. He lost the possession twice. He was fouled once, 1 tackle, and he was dribbled past once as well. What did you think about Fernandinho while he was on the pitch?
Yeah, he's just brought on to do a job, mate. And I say Rodri hadn't been playing that well. At least Ferner could afford to get another booking, couldn't he? Because obviously Rodri couldn't. So obviously it was useful to put him on for that. But he didn't really need to. As I say, that second half was a bit of a damp squib anyway from a Newcastle point of view. Maximin didn't have the influence I thought he might have. Obviously, after the first 5 minutes, I thought they were very rarely in it. They didn't really utilise the full. I thought whether they got tired, I'm not too sure, but they didn't look the same outfit. And City controlled the game more. He put Ferner on in that sort of team. He just does what he does well, and he just controlled the game with the rest of the team that second half without really getting out of second or third gear.
Yeah. The next sub then was John Stones. He replaced Ruben Diaz. He was on the pitch for 20 minutes, 24 touches, and 100% accurate passes. He didn't have much to do, to be honest, did he?
Well, that'll do me. 100%, 24 touches, 24 passes, and all 100%. I mean, yeah, again, he just did what Pep wanted him to do and what we know he can do. I love John Stones to bits, and it'd be nice for him to play there rather than right back, wasn't it? So that was nice for him to get back in the groove of playing in central defence rather than as a right back, where I thought he looked a bit lost. But he did what he had to do. A good substitute, saw the game out.
Yeah. Simple as that, really. And the final sub was Cole Palmer. He was on the pitch for 13 minutes, 8 touches, 100% accurate passes, 1 out of 1 accurate long balls, none out of 1 successful dribble attempts, none out of 2 ground duels of wood. He lost the possession 3 times as well. What did you think of Cole Palmer while he was on the pitch?
Yeah, he nearly got through one, didn't he? But obviously, he sort of stumbled around and ended up back to the Newcastle keeper or whatever. I think near the end, didn't he? But he didn't really get much chance to do anything, did he? He didn't do anything. If he'd come on and just like John Stones did about 10 touches and did 100%, that would have been all right. But I think he just more or less lost it every time. I think he had one okay ball, but the rest of it, he just 6 or 7 touches. Not much he can do, but it's I'm sure he enjoys himself coming on for a few minutes, but nothing really, mate. I'm not. Who did he come on for? Mahrez, wasn't it? Yeah, just a matter of resting Mahrez, I suppose. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I completely forgot to go through the stats before the players, so we'll do it now. It was 28% possession to 72%, 5 shots to 18, 1 shot on target to 7, 4 shots off target to 8, no block shots to 3, 3 corners to 6, 4 offsides to 2, 9 fouls to 6, 1 yellow card to 2, no big chances to 5, no big chances missed to 2, no counter-attacks to 1, no counter-attack shots to 1, 2 shots inside the box to 16, 3 shots outside the box to 2, 3 saves for Dubravka, 1 save for Ederson, 265 passes to 709, 81% accurate passes to 91%, 56% accurate long balls to 53%, 17% of Newcastle's crosses were accurate to our 42%, 50% of Newcastle's dribbles were completed to our 61%, 102 times Newcastle lost a possession to our 97, 40 duels 1 to 48, 12 aerial duels 1 to 8, 13 tackles to 21, 11 interceptions to 5, and 16 clearances to 9. Do you think those stats represent the game, Bernard?
Yeah, because he didn't really do much in the key areas, did they? I thought I was quite impressed with them sort of moving forward, but they didn't quite. I think we got enough bodies back. I think even though we didn't play well, I think we we got men back. We got men behind the ball. We pressed pretty well, even though we weren't at our best particularly, and it never really came as a big threat to Ederson. Certainly in that second half, as I said, I think for 5 minutes he looked as though they might have a chance of getting back into it down that left-hand side when they brought old Maximin on down there. But yeah, soon faded out. And as I say, I think just City just went up a gear slightly just to control the game then, and just picked Newcastle off. And I say they weren't as effective, but they weren't effective in the first half in the last third. But they played some okay football. I think their passing completion rate was about 81%, which I mean, it can be down as low as 70-odd%, 60-odd% sometimes, high 60s with some of these teams like Newcastle. So that wasn't too bad. They passed the ball around okay. That's what Eddie Howe, though, isn't it, mate? It's Eddie Howe. It's Eddie Howe team. You would expect them to pass the ball around pretty well, but say they need a defender and they probably need a good striker or two, but don't we all?
Yeah. And then we'll look at the attack momentum graph. Newcastle had some periods, to be fair. They did add more attacks than some of our opposition this season. Do you think this graph represents the game, Bernard?
Yeah, because I say there weren't. I mean, you look at our peaks and troughs, if you like, and obviously we were far better the second half. And they say Newcastle had the little moments, stuff, but I say nothing really dangerous till that. Obviously, up there near the end, wasn't it? Obviously, towards the end of the half, and again the second half, I think that was where Ederson made his save. I think they had a sort of brief 5-minute spell where they looked okay, where Ederson saved that, saved what could have been a goal with a header. So yeah, I think that's fair enough to say. I mean, the City peaks are far better in the second half, and that reflects the game. We were far better as a unit in the second half.
Yeah. And then we'll go to Pep. A couple of things he said after the game. The action from Joao was brilliant, but the way we played in the first half was one of the poorest of the season. I realise we have to be a better team. The first half was a dangerous position and every player played without complete focus. The second half was much better. He also said it means the consistency we have as a team, not winning a title or final, just winning and winning. One day they will be broken. All records exist for that, but we're happy. He also said, I prefer to win the titles, but if you break a record, win games, win games, win games. This is the more precious value the team has. He also said, I will support the doctors and scientists and the Premier League's decision on whether to postpone the league or not. I see people in the street, nobody wearing a mask, nobody social distancing. That's why it will happen sooner or later. He also said we try to create a good environment to realise the danger is still here. We have to try it knowing it's not easy. It's a problem worldwide that's still there. The virus is there, the new variant. We will support whatever the Premier League decides. And the final thing he said on the changes against Newcastle, not rotation. I decided this team because they deserve to play. These guys, not the others. At Christmas, I pay a lot of attention to behaviour on and off the pitch. When off the pitch is not proper, they're not going to play. How do you think did Pep get it right on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, interesting, isn't it? I mean, before the game, we didn't know the circumstances with Foden and Grealish, what had happened. But any work environment, it doesn't matter if it's a football club or you work in a supermarket. If a couple of the players have got into trouble, it obviously goes through the rest of your colleagues or your team or whatever it is. It affects them as well, and perhaps that was a little bit to do with why we were a little bit out of it that first half. Psychologically, it does have an effect that someone gets rollicked. It affects other people, even though they may not be getting the rollicking. It does have a detrimental effect because these are your mates as well. These are your guys, and you want to stick up for them, but obviously, perhaps they are in the wrong and stuff like that. So it was interesting. It's interesting what Pep said. So we can look back in hindsight now and realise, yeah, that may have had an effect. But because if we were playing, I certainly think we would have been far more at it playing a so-called bigger team. No disrespect to Newcastle, but we did have that feeling they were going to rock up and beat them easy, and I thought that was totally wrong. You say Pep doesn't like that. We have to treat teams with respect, and every team we play, whether they're next to bottom of the league and struggling or whatever. So and obviously would have got that over to the team because we certainly did see a change in the second half. As I said, I don't think we were brilliant in the second half, but a change of attitude, I think, the second half, and they needed that kick up the bum. It's a shame. It is a shame, and who was the captain? Was it Diaz? Who was captain? Was it Diaz?
Diaz, yeah.
We need someone on. I like Diaz. I think he'd be a great captain, but I don't see the G. I see the celebrations when we score a goal and we're all as one, but I don't see the little chats between the players. Perhaps I want to see, little G'ing up.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. We might miss it. I don't know. But even when we're at watch at the Etihad, I don't see it or it doesn't feel right. So I think we need perhaps a few more voices on that pitch than we've got at the moment. We've had this problem before, of course, in the old company days where he wasn't playing, and who's going to stand up and sort of get the players G'd up. And that first half, we needed to kick up the bum, and if Pep wasn't giving them from the touchline for whatever reason, I mean, if I was a manager, I'd be shouting. Perhaps they have to be wary of what they shout. But obviously, I'd be sort of getting over to the players. You got to liven up, guys. All right, 2-0 was fine, but as a team, we didn't play well. So, yeah, as I said, Pep did the right things. I think he picked the best team he could. And I think he gave him a good kick up the bum at half time, even though we're 2-0 up, because it could have gone pear-shaped. They could have got one back and start panicking like we did against Villa a little bit when we let them get back in it the other week. So, I think Pep did all right. But as I said, it probably did have an effect on the players and the team. But we can't be rocking up to other ground. We can't be rocking up to the Emirates in a week or two, in a few days' time with that sort of attitude, because they will take advantage of it. Newcastle couldn't quite do that.
Yeah. Next up, we'll talk about the referee, Martin Atkinson. Newcastle are set to make a formal complaint to the Premier League over the standard of officiating in their last 3 games versus Leicester, Liverpool, and Man City. You mentioned before you didn't think it was a penalty. How did you think Martin Atkinson did on Sunday?
The trouble is, mate, when you're struggling, and we've done it. I mean, we've been near the bottom of the league, needing a point, and we've had a ball taken off a goalkeeper's hand and put into the back of the net, and they've allowed the goal to stand. I mean, when you're down there, you don't get the look. And yes, from a Newcastle point of view, I don't think it's a penalty, but I can fully understand the claims for a penalty. But as I said, I think the circumstances were totally just unique. It's a unique circumstance, that sort of thing. An accident, just because players collide in the penalty box, does it mean it's a penalty generally? No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean it's a penalty. It has to be look at the particular circumstances of that collision, how it happened and why it happened, etc. Players, they can collide with someone because you can't even see him. And certainly, even though Ederson's a bit of a plonker, he was coming for the ball, but the ball was nicked away. So he couldn't do anything but slide into the play. But the ball had gone by there. It wasn't going to score. He didn't stop a goal-scoring opportunity because the ball had been well taken. It wasn't even 50-50. He took it away. It was a player. It was Diaz.
Right. Cancelo, I think.
Cancelo. Yeah, so he took it away. I mean, as I say, it's a weird one, but we don't know the rules, do we? But I thought Martin Atkinson really wasn't that bad compared to some, but and the VAR got the goal right, the offset. So because the lino was a bit too keen with his flag. So, and I don't mind that. I don't mind. I got fed up with this waiting for the ball to something to happen. The linesman putting his flag up. He seems to be putting up a lot quicker now. But I thought Martin Atkins it was okay. As I said, from a Newcastle point of view, I can fully understand it should have been a penalty, but from common sense, I'm biased, but I mean, I'll still argue that I can't see how it could have been and I think some people said it is, and some people, even referees, I think a couple of ones disagree. I've seen 2 disagree with each other about it. So he thought it was a penalty. Shay Given. I'm not going to be nice to him again. He was prattling on. I thought it was I know he played for Newcastle, but come on, he's supposed to be. He was as though he's banging the Newcastle drum. So I won't be welcoming him back to the SG. I'd ever see him.
We'll go to Newcastle then. How do you think they played overall?
Yeah, I thought they were all right. They're struggling, aren't they? You have to try and get some points from somewhere. And as I said, even though I did like some of the football they played, they didn't take advantage. I honestly thought if Maximin had started that game, they may have scored a goal or 2. I just thought we weren't at it. I thought that sort of player could have caused us problems at full pelt. Start of the game where they're all running around like scolded cats. Obviously you get tired after a while. Of course, you do playing against City, you're bound to. So I think Eddie Howe missed a trick there. I wasn't too sure the philosophy behind that. And of course, he was playing Wilson, because he reckoned this was a more winnable game than the game at Anfield. That was his decision because he didn't play him at Anfield against Liverpool, but he saved him for this because it was a more winnable game, which is fair enough. They're at home, so so I can't disagree. There's not a lot of difference between playing Liverpool and City as far as other teams are concerned. To be honest with you, I think they've got some talent there. I think they have, and I think Eddie Howe brings out but. Hey, defensive. I mean, that's his problem. Perhaps he needs a good defensive coach as well alongside him. I don't know who his assistant is or anything like that. But we know Eddie Howe plays some nice football, but he's never been the greatest in sorting the defence out. That's the problem, and that's what Newcastle need to start there. They need to start with the defence. Make sure they don't let silly goals in. Start with that first, and then they can build on that. But as I say, I thought they were okay. I do like some of their players. I thought they had 4 or 5 good players there that could do a job, certainly even at City as a squad members, you know what I mean? There's some good young lads there. So, yeah, but it's going to be a struggle, mate, for them, I think. Even if they get someone in January, there's nothing to say they'll get him on the 1st of January. It could be, they could have played another 4 or 5 games by then and lost them all. And we could be into February. So, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to watch from a neutral point of view. Certainly not from a Newcastle fans' point of view, but there's still hope. But they've got to find 3 teams worse than them, haven't they? At the moment, it's probably is only 1 team worse than them at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. We'll go to the fans then. In the 89th minute, the City fans were singing to the Newcastle fans, "You should have gone Christmas shopping," and all that money, and you're going down as well. I always say I think we have some of the best away fans in the league. People don't agree with me.
And we've lost Charlie. I'm sure he'll be back in a minute. We'll be back in a minute, guys. He's talking about. Here we go.
I don't know what happened then. The
carry on.
Tab went down, but I was saying, I think we do have some of the best away fans in the league. To be honest, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think if you read my Twitter account, mate, I'm always sticking up for the City fans. We're not perfect, of course we're not. I mean, we have some quiet games, but I reckon City fans away from home are certainly up there in the top 3 of away support. I think United are very good away from home. I don't like to say that, and they don't sing the greatest songs, in my opinion. A lot about killing people and stuff like that. So not my sort of songs, but I think United are very good. I think United are very good at Old Trafford as well, considering the size of the place. I think that singing section does quite well, and I think we do all right. I argue with anyone on the internet. I think the closest team this season to outsing us was probably West Ham the other week, from a vocal point of view at the Etihad. All right, we're not massively loud, and it doesn't really come over on the telly. The sound doesn't seem to travel that well. But I think at the Etihad, the City fans get a bad press, and I think they're excellent as well at the Etihad. All right, probably not top 3, but I think they're up there with some of the best. And as I said, I can count on one hand every season any away fans out singles. I'm probably struggling to count on one hand, to be honest with you. Say West Ham came the closest. I wouldn't say they outsung us. They have certain. If they can get, I think the away fans struggle as well, because if they're over 3 tiers, you're always going to get guys in different tiers, aren't you? That's always going to be the case. So sometimes that bottom tier next to us, where I am, is quite quiet, and it's usually more from the 2nd and 3rd tiers you can hear things, But I'll always stick up for City fans. All right, we're not perfect, and we do have quiet games, of course we do. Where I've been to a game and I can't be, I do sing, but sometimes I don't sing with the same gusto as I do at other games. I'm just not quite up for it. A morning kickoff or something like that. There's things affect you, but I think City get a bad press. But I think we're superb away from home. I mean, I get to as many as I can, and we're always brilliant. Yeah, it helps when you're winning games. It certainly does. But City fans in the old days, like the Newcastle fans, I think they started piping up in about the 92nd minute, started waving the flags in the Gallagher end. But I did notice the Gallagher end was probably about half empty at the time, but it did cover up a few empty seats by waving the big flags. But I mean, you can't say the City fans didn't outsing the Newcastle fans. Of course we did. Simple as that. There's no argument. It is what it is. And if any Newcastle fan says he didn't, and I've heard Newcastle fans praising City fans, I've seen it on Twitter. So I agree with you, mate. And I I think we get a bad press at home as well. I don't think we're that bad at home. We're not perfect, of course we're not. And the thing is with City, so don't forget, we have two sets of fans singing. We have both sides of the away fans. So we're losing. You know, imagine those two were next to each other singing. It'd be so much louder. You know, we didn't have each side of the away fans as well. So we sort of shoot ourselves in the foot as well. And again, the team shoot us in the foot by not shooting towards us in the second half, so we can get a bit more atmosphere for the second half. That's another thing. But the team obviously likes shooting towards the family stand in the second half, and nothing's going to roll to that. We've tried it and it never worked. So obviously that doesn't help. So we seem to shoot ourselves in the foot. But I think, to say, I'm waffling about the fans, but I think City fans are up there. Certainly your top 6, 8 as far as at the Etihad, and certainly top 3 away from home, definitely. So I think all the bad press is just jealousy, mate, to be honest with you. You know, I mean, you can start, I think, you know, when you get fans, and they're literally, the City fans, they sort of get into the first minute of a game and say the City fans are just between songs and they start singing, is this a library? I mean, it's just championship mentality. I mean, you know, not even, the game's not even started. Is this a library? Or I think the Leeds fans were singing football in the libraries. You know, when we were singing, atmosphere against Leeds was fantastic. The City fans are brilliant. You know, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good you are. The away fans will say you were crap anyway, so it doesn't make a lot of difference. But I'll put, you know me, I'll always bang the drum for City fans. Not perfect, but I think we do, compared to others, I think we're very good.
Yeah. The next thing we'll look at is the Premier League table. Sunday was quite a good day for us, actually. Chelsea dropped points, Liverpool dropped points. We won, of course, so we're now 3 points clear of Liverpool, 6 points clear of Chelsea as well. Newcastle down in 19th, they're 3 points off Watford, but Watford have 2 games in hand. It's going to be a big ask for Newcastle to stay up this season. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, they played 18, the others around them played 15 and 16 and 17. I mean, you know, so that's adding to the problem as well. You know, we haven't got the games in hand. Obviously, I'm looking at I was doing a preview of our next 3 games, and you start panicking. I like it with top. I do like being top. I don't mind being second and on someone's shoulder, but I just want us to increase that 3 to 4 points, increase that 4 points to say 6 points, and then go on from there. I'll be far happier, bunny. But obviously we've got some big games coming up. Rejuvenated Arsenal, haven't we? Of course, Brentford. Don't matter. They'll play their little arts out, won't they? Let's play in big city at their place. They'll love it. They'll be up for that, and we can't trust Leicester not, suddenly turn into a top 6 side looking side again now after, so it's going to be hard. But Newcastle, I mean, I think we'll be all right. I'm a bit more optimistic now than perhaps I did say we'd win the league start of the season. I thought we might still win it, but seeing how Liverpool and Chelsea were playing, it does go. I'm not too sure now. But Newcastle, they need to pick up some points before, because I don't know who they're going to bring in of any decent quality. Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you've got all the money. You've still got to convince the players that it's a project worth playing for. Are they just going to buy stopgap players to get them, just to save them? Which, like the managers, people said Eddie Howe's just a stopgap, but I don't think he was, because they wanted a stopgap. I think they would have put a sort of more experienced manager age-wise than Eddie Howe, to be honest with you. But then again, as I say, it's a matter of getting the guys up there, managers and players. As I said, it'd be very interesting from a neutral point of view. Even if I was a Newcastle fan, I'd be interested, because at the moment things are that bad. You get to the stage where you don't really care that much, and you can have a bit of a laugh about it, to be honest with you. I mean, City fans would anyway. I mean, in the old days, we would have a joke about it, but not too sure how the Newcastle fans take this. I think they're a bit more. I don't think they have the same sense of humour as certainly City fans. Anyway, that's for sure. But I'm sure they took it well on Sunday. I'm not sure. I wasn't up there, so I don't know what. It's not a place I like, to be honest, in Newcastle. I've never liked Newcastle. I had a bit of trouble in the 80s, so I've not been there recently. It's probably a lot better now, but I don't trust them, mate. I don't trust them an inch. But hey, the loyal fans, aren't they? I tell you what, they do get it right. I mean, they could get 60, 70,000 in there, no problem. Because they always sell fairly cheap seats, and they're on about expanding the ground, aren't they, and stuff. So you know, it's a one team, it's a one city football. You know, there's only one club in it? So, you know, it's like City United. There's only one club in Manchester. We'd have 150,000 in the ground, wouldn't we, you know, for games. So it's potential's there, but they've got a long way to go. Make sure I don't even worry. I'm not even that worried if they go down, because I know they'll get straight back up and they'll go from there. So it's not a total disaster. Just take it, lads. Take it on the chin and enjoy it. Enjoy season the championship, having a laugh at the other fans, and then knowing that you'll get back amongst the big boys anyway. So it's all a bit of fun.
Yeah. A few records we broke on Sunday. The first one being a record 34 wins in a single calendar year in English top flight history. That was broken. Another one scored the most Premier League goals in a calendar year. That was posted at half-time, so it is actually at 106 now, overtaking our record of 102 in 2017. We also have a record 18 top flight league away wins in 2021. That's another record. The most Premier League goals in a calendar year, then we're top, second, and third. 2021 with 106, 2017 with 102. We have 99 in 2018 and 95 in 2019. That is also with United, who did that in 2000 as well. Our updated top scorers then: Mahrez has 11, Bernardo with 7, Sterling with 7, Foden with 6, Jesus with 5, and De Bruyne with 5 as well. Most goal contributions: Mahrez with 15, Jesus with 13, Foden with 12, Cancelo with 10, Sterling with 10, Bernardo with 9, Gundogan with 8, Grealish with 6, and De Bruyne with 6. And the final stat: chances created: De Bruyne with 5, Bernardo with 3, Mahrez with 3, Jesus with 3, Cancelo with 1, and Zinchenko with 1. So quite a few records that got broke there, isn't there, Bernard?
Yeah, well, if you put that on Twitter, you'll just get the comments from, you know, where's your Champions League? That's all you get. It means nothing, does it, mate? We don't get a trophy for breaking records. It's nice, and we'll never get the. I mean, let's face it, we did something that no other English team has ever done. Did we get any credit for that? Did we get any credit for the treble? Or I forget the quadruple. Obviously, I'm not counting the Charity Shield. Did we get any credence for that or any credit for that? Did we? Heck, we don't get any credit, so it doesn't matter. We could win the next 6, 7, 8 Champions Leagues, and they'll still be finding something to beat us on the head about. But it's great to have these records. Of course, it is. It's nice to have them. They'll be there in the stats books for years to come. You know, perhaps when we're down in the third division, is it? Oh, this Manchester City were a good team, weren't they? 30 years ago, when I've left the mortal coil, but. The record I want to get is winning that Champions League, for one thing. That's a record I want to get. Desperate to get that now. I wasn't that bothered years ago, but I get sick to death of it being beaten up about it. So just get it one, Pep. Just do it before you go. I mean, if we have to do it without him there, fair enough. But just please, just play the best team. And guys, I say we've got a lot. I think we've got a lot better to come this season from our team. I don't think we've been quite at it 100%. So, you know, I just to think we're breaking those records with a team in second or third gear. So let's get into fourth and fifth gear as soon as we can and break a few more and win a few more things.
Yeah, you'll find as soon as we win a Champions League, the next thing they'll moan about is empty seats. I think I could
It'll always be that. It'll always be that. I mean, I was questioned, mate, when they first were on about the expansion from 45, 47, whatever it was at the time. And I said, well, all right, we expand it to 54 and a half, 55. I said, if we get an average of 50, 52, I mean, you need it for the big games. I mean, there's all this het up about empty seats. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about empty seats. You build. I mean, I'd expand it to 60,000 tomorrow if I could, because it doesn't matter. Yeah. I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered because we get an average then instead of 50, like it's 52 this year. It's been cut down a little bit. But the whole idea in the old days, we used to get big average crowds. We used to get 40 odd thousand at Main Road, but we still had crowds of 20 odd thousand. It's just that we got 50, 60,000 for certain games. So it built the average up. And that's all it is. It's only a recent thing, this empty seat thing. It's only, you couldn't tell with the Kippax in the old standing days because it was standing. So you could some game because it was pretty naff. But, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So we will always get stick for it. You don't see any stick for anyone else. Arsenal have very rarely filled their stadium for the last 3 or 4 seasons, but you don't see any stick for them. It's just us that get beat over the head with it. But of course, the ground, that's another song, isn't it? The ground's too big for you. Yeah, it is, but it isn't if we play a big game. It's not when we play a big Champions League game, or we play United, or we play Liverpool, or we play Chelsea. It's not for, say, the top 6 or 8 teams. We'll fill it. It's no problem. But obviously, how are you going to fill it with? We haven't got the tourists to fill it for other games. So I was quite happy. I was quite happy saying, and I did say when they did this survey, I said, well, yeah, because we'll get a 52,000 average crowd. It's 46 at the moment, so we'll gain more revenue. So what's the problem? It isn't a problem, but other fans, they've got nothing else to talk about. As you said, they got the Champions League, and when we win that, it'll still be empty seats. But by that time, hopefully, I'll have a few more tourists to fill the seats anyway, so it won't be too bad.
Yeah. Some of the final things we'll talk about before we wrap it up. There is a warning that Premier League destruction may come in January after the Premier League is set to continue for now with all the COVID cases at the moment. 13 outfield players plus a goalkeeper is enough to avoid postponement for Premier League clubs. Should that figure be less, under 21s who have first team experience have to step in. And finally, the FA have removed FA Cup replays from the 3rd and 4th rounds to help with fixture congestions. For me, that's just showing no one really cares about the FA Cup anymore. It was more prestigious back in the day, in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. But the stuff like the Champions League and the league, because back in the day, the FA Cup used to be more important than the league, didn't it, Bernard?
It's a wise move, though. I thought that as soon as I heard this mentioned, just take away the replay straight away as soon as this problem kicked off. That 13 players and a goalkeeper is a hell of a lot, isn't it, mate? You take 13 players out of City's squad, and you say you just left with all playing like Leeds had to, did they? I think they had to play a lot of youngsters, didn't they? But that wasn't COVID, that was injuries, wasn't it? Injuries and stuff like that. But that's a hell of a number of players to be missing. It is. You take 13 and a goalkeeper out of City, and we're not even talking West Ham away in the Carabao Cup squad. We're not even talking that sort of level of 11. So it is a hell of a lot, but it is a bit of a worry. Just interesting there, Leicester Till I Die TV. You have empty seats. I've never noticed there. I've never noticed them at Leicester either, mate. Whatever. I know he's having a bit of fun. I know he's a good lad. So interesting, very interesting. I tell you what, the only teams I never noticed empty seats. The only teams, probably Liverpool. I never noticed empty seats, but they only sell about 10,000 season cars, and the rest are people paying on the day. So that's how they fill their ground, because they get people book it for months ahead to fill their place, even though they apparently do have empty seats. But I'm struggling after that. I've seen them at Old Trafford. I've seen them at even Chelsea. I've seen it. Spurs had a few. Obviously, there's reasons now, isn't there, with this COVID thing? Yeah. There's certainly reasons now for empty seats, and it's just an interesting point. It is an interesting point, but as I say, the obvious ones are Arsenal. That's a very obvious one. But you go to your places like Brighton and all these places, they can't even fill what they've got, and it's only 30,000, 30,000 anyway, and they still can't sell all the bloody seats when they're playing big teams. So it's a bit silly, really. But we'll not get up it. But that's interesting. You just said those points there, and deciding not to have a break for the COVID. Yeah, I totally agree with it. But as I say, them sort of figures, it is going to, taint? Is it going to taint the title? It'll taint the title if City win it. Let's be honest about it. Everyone will find that as an excuse. And it's interesting enough, people have said that January is when this AFCON's on, isn't it? This
Yeah.
African, so obviously Liverpool are probably going for that anyway, so they can have a break while their players, Mr. Salah's away and stuff like that, which we probably won't miss Mahrez as much, let's be honest about it, as they'll miss Salah. But another guy, the other guy they've got there. But yeah, so that's an interesting one anyway. But as I say, it's a shame. I don't want anything tainted at the moment. I think City are the best team in the league. We've ever had a full squad, and it's as simple as that. And we're top of the league where we deserve to be. But it'd be such a shame if the season gets ruined. But it's fully understandable under the circumstances. Get the players double vax for a bloody start. These guys who are refusing to do it. That's what we've got to do. It's absolutely ridiculous that they haven't been.
Yeah. Just before we wrap it up, mate, where can we find you?
Yeah, if you go on, obviously on Twitter, I'm at Bernard Deneen, at Charles Deneen. So any search engine, if you put, you put Bernard Deneen in, but spell Deneen with two N's, D-I-N-N-N, and I'll pop up all over the place on YouTube and various things. I've got my Citizen channel, which is just around City. I do guest stuff on other pods as well and stuff like that. And of course, if you want a restaurant football, I do film and TV stuff as well. I've just watched the latest Matrix film, so there you go. So I can give you my views on that in a couple of days when it's officially released. So there you go. So just find me on anything on any search engine. Just put Bernard Deneen in D-I-N-N-N, and I'll pop up, or just follow me on Twitter.
Yeah, all Bernard's links are in the description as well, so make sure to check all them out. You can find me at MCFC Hibs on Twitter, here Dugout Daily on YouTube. We're live again at 25-8 for Arsenal against Sunderland in the Carabao Cup.
Carabao Cup.
No longer ours, unfortunately.
No longer our cup.
I'll be live at 6:10, I think, at Leicester Till I Die TV as well for a Man City Leicester preview as well. So everybody stay safe, take care, and I'll see you all later. Top of the league at Christmas. Take care, everyone.